Member for Carine.
I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on, the Wadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I wish to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and this region. Acting Deputy Speaker, Mark, congratulate you on your election to Cockburn, and it's truly fantastic to see you in that chair. I would also like to congratulate the Madam Speaker on her election as the first woman to the position of Speaker. This truly historical moment for the position of Speaker in Western Australia is incredible, and I am so honoured to be a part of the 41st Parliament of which Madam Speaker presides. My name is Paul Robert Lilburne, and I am the recently elected first WA Labor member of the Legislative Assembly of Western Australia, representing the district of Carine. I wish to thank the Honourable Martin Pritchard MLC, who has been an extraordinary friend in both my political and professional lives, and I am so humble and proud to serve in the same Parliament as he. I wish to formally acknowledge the contribution to the Carine district of my predecessors, Katie Hudson-Thomas and Tony Christovic. Thank you sincerely for the care you have demonstrated to the constituents of our wonderful electorate. Finally, I wish to acknowledge the West Australian Labor Government's substantial election result in March 2021, led by our Premier, the Honourable Mr Mark McGowan MLA. I'd like to acknowledge and thank Tim Picton and Ellie Whittaker at CHQ during the campaign and to help to return WA Labor to a historic win in Western Australia. I wish to thank my children, Matthew, Rebecca and Jessica, for their support during my election campaign. They have put up with a lot, and I hope they understand that I love and care for them deeply. I must give special thanks to my most special friend, namely my wife, Tracy. We have a unique partnership, and I wish to record how much I appreciate her love, encouragement and support. I'd like to acknowledge the support of the Shop Distributive and Allied Employees Association and Union, the union that represents workers in the retail industry. I would also like to thank the unions of Western Australia who support the WA Labor generally. I was born in St Anne's Hospital in Mount Lawley, Western Australia. My brother John was born 4 years later. My father, Robert Lilburne, was employed as a deputy principal of a secondary high school throughout his life and received the Educational Medal on his retirement from the then Director General of the Education Department of Western Australia. My mother, Jane Lilburne, was employed during her career as a jewellery shop manager. I grew up in a Labor Party supportive family and can state our family have always voted for the Australian Labor Party, both federally and at the state level. Acting Deputy Speaker, during my father's career, he always remained a member of the State School Teachers Union of Western Australia. I have always been a member of the State School Teachers Union of Western Australia also, with my membership beginning before I had left my university training. My father and mother considered purchasing a block of land on Lilburne Road in Duncraig in 1977. I remember as a 5-year-old boy walking around a Banksia-laden bush block that would someday be in the district in which I was to be elected as Member of Parliament. My parents ultimately decided to purchase a block of land in Callaroo instead. I attended Callaroo Kindergarten in Perth's northern suburbs when I was 4 years old. It is here where I met my first and lifelong friend in the sandpit building sandcastles. My friend's name is Mr Lance Spice. Lance was destined to join the Royal Australian Navy, and I know that some members here in the Legislative Assembly know and have indeed served at the same time as this gentleman. I wish to thank Lance Spice for his fantastic service to our nation. 44 years later, we remain best of friends. Last year, we both travelled together to New South Wales to witness the spectacle of the Royal Edinburgh military tattoo. Acting Deputy Speaker, I attended Springfield Primary School from 1979 through to 1986 as a student dressed in my lovely grey school uniform. The modern primary school uniform colour regime has changed ever so slightly since then when I was a student. I have great memories attending school camps at Nanga Bush Camp next to the Murray River in Dwellingup and Ern Halliday Camp at Whitfords Beach. My favourite primary school teacher, Miss Lynn Catchpole, was and remains to this day a caring person who had a marked positive impact on my ethos towards teaching students. At the age of 10 years old, Lance Spice and I joined the Callaroo Girardi Club, situated in the Anglican Church along Dampier Avenue. The Jiu-Jitsu school was run by the late councillor of Wanneroo, Mr Rob Baddock, who was then a black belt instructor. I learnt much of my early discipline, determination, respect and listening skills at this martial arts dojo. At the age of 11 years old, my parents took me to the United Kingdom for a 6-week holiday. We travelled to the Neolithic Stonehenge site in the southwest area of England. This was probably the single most profound event in my life that forged my desire to teach anthropology, archaeology and paleontology to school students as a teacher. My family and I also visited the town of Tintagel, where the famed legendary castle of Camelot was located, complete with Merlin's cave underneath in the bedrock. Acting Deputy Speaker, I attended Ocean Reef Senior High School and cherished the scholastic and social experiences of my secondary education. In 1991, I enrolled at Edith Cowan University in Joondalup and at Mount Lawley in a Bachelor of Arts degree specialising in economics, geography, history and politics. I wish to acknowledge the enormous contribution Edith Cowan made as a politician to Western Australian society and join in the chorus of celebratory comments made about her recently by leaders in our community. I received my black belt and instructor's licence in Jiu-Jitsu when I was 18 years of age and took over as head instructor in 1991. I relished the chance to teach self-defence to students and adults in our community. My martial arts background assisted me to support myself during my university days because I was one of Perth's first security officers. In my role, I attended alarm response activations at a range of places like the Fremantle Crocodile Park and Customs House. I also had the privilege of being a personal bodyguard to numerous celebrities, including Miss Delta Goodrum and the late Michael Hutchins. I graduated as a fully qualified teacher in November 1999 and was employed by the Education Department of Western Australia as a secondary school teacher. My first placement was at Northlake Senior Campus as a geography teacher and was then transferred to Pinjarra Senior High School to begin my country service. My country service was exciting because it enabled me to demonstrate my community involvement with associations such as the State Emergency Service, the Pinjarra Uniting Church and the Pinjarra Mandurah Theatre Performing Arts Company. I played characters in the theatre ranging from productions of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night through to Gilbert and Sullivan's Merry Band of Pirates in The Pirates of Penzance. Acting Deputy Speaker, during my career within the Education Department of Western Australia, I held positions as Vice Chairperson of the school's finance committees, Treasurer of Parents and Citizens Associations, and a subject specialist teacher of economics and geography. I have taught at dynamic workplaces such as Rossmoyne Senior High School and Warwick Senior High School. My career has provided me numerous opportunities to meet incredible people in our society. One of the most amazing moments I have had was sharing a beer and shaking the hand of the Honourable Mr Bob Hawke in the 2017 campaign. I had just heard an incredible speech from the former Prime Minister and statesman, and he was enjoying a coldie with our Premier, the Honourable Mark McGowan. He then rose to his feet and Bob Hawke burst into song singing Solidarity Forever. I quote, "Now we stand outcast and starving midst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong, solidarity forever." I was the first union representative at the picket line at Griffin Coal Mine Site in Collie. It is this value of strength through solidarity that guides my ongoing Labor beliefs. I also acknowledge the Australian Metal Workers Union of WA and the great work they do representing the interests of their members. Acting Deputy Speaker, my fifth generation great-grandfather was Sir Richard Spencer. Captain Sir Richard Spencer, KCH, born 9th of December 1779 through the 24th of July 1839, was a London merchant. He was a sea captain of the Royal Navy who served with Lord Nelson in several battles, particularly against the French. Later in life, he settled in Albany, Western Australia, and was appointed government resident in 1833 on the recommendation of Sir James Stirling. He was born in Southwark in London's Dockland and died at Strawberry Hill Government Farm, Mirror in Albany, Western Australia. My positive campaign strategy for the March 2021 state election was an amazing experience. Much of my learning of the demands of the political system occurred during the 2017 state election campaign when I was the candidate for Churchlands. The Carine district that I now represent in the state parliament has over 30,000 electors and covers over 24 square kilometres. It has within its boundaries some of the most beautiful places for families to recreate in Western Australia. The Mount Flora Regional Museum, for example, is a historically important location. It was one of the original major freshwater storage facilities in the developing Northern Corridor. When the giant water tank on top of Mount Flora was decommissioned, it was refurbished to host one of the most important local museums full of important memorabilia and significant photographic records of the developing North Beach, Marmion, Carine and Sorrento suburbs. This collection and site are administered by the City of Stirling. Unfortunately, this facility is only able to open for a few hours a week due to financial constraints. During my first term as member for Carine, I would like to drive the facilitation of a project research group examining how the fantastic resource can be made more available for school students and the community in the future. I encourage all Western Australians to visit this local museum and climb the external stairs of the water tank to take in the views, the magical photographic opportunities, and whilst there, support the local businesses of Carine. Acting Deputy Speaker, the 41st Parliament of Western Australia has allowed me to be a leader in my community with culturally important events. I had the pleasure of being invited to the Pointer Primary School Anzac Day service on Friday the 23rd of April 2021, where I represented the Minister of Education of Western Australia, the Honourable Sue Ellery, MLC. Since my election, I have attended numerous community group meetings such as the Carine Rotary Club. It was my delight to be involved with numerous election commitments within my electorate, such as the redevelopment commitment of Duncraig Senior High School, worth over $30 million. The 2 new classroom blocks and the addition of 9 new science laboratories and 2 new chemistry laboratories particularly delights me. Families from across the suburbs of Hillarys, Sorrento, Duncraig and Padbury are in the catchment of the school, and with so many more families established in these neighbourhoods or moving to these areas, it is vital our school infrastructure is revamped and fit for purpose. The local school community will benefit from this significant rebuild and expansion, along with other major investments in school support and community sports facilities across the northern coastal suburbs. Having access to quality public education is so important, and as a parent with a young family, I want to ensure that our local schools have the modern facilities and technology to accommodate students and the new and different specialist areas that schools now offer. The rebuilding of the Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club election commitment, worth over $8 million along West Coast Highway, ensures that the people within my electorate and visitors to this most beautiful stretch of coastline will be safely protected against accidents. The active promotion and enhancement of the Sorrento Football Club prior to the FIFA 2023 Women's World Cup commitment worth $1 million announced by the Premier, Mark McGowan, on the 1st of April 2021 is of particular importance to me. As the Premier said in his media release regarding the undertaking, the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023 is, and I quote, a big deal for football, a big deal for women's sport, and a huge win for our state. Mr. Acting Deputy Speaker, may I have an extension?
Extension granted.
Thank you. The McGowan Labor government inherited a financial deficit disaster from the Barnett Liberal government of, and I quote from the Australian Financial Review on February 9th, 2017, net debt will pass $40 billion for the first time in the state's history. The people of Western Australia are aware of the outstanding economic management of the McGowan Labor government. They demonstrated their understanding of the economic situation by electing 53 members of Parliament in the Legislative Assembly and securing 22 members in the Legislative Council for the 41st Parliament. Those groups of facts prove that the democratic ethos is alive and well in Western Australia, with the people giving the McGowan Labor government an absolute mandate to make positive change for the people. I have been an advocate for our region through my work for the last 21 years in the public service spheres of education and child protection. I have watched our community grow in strength and diversity, and I have cherished the opportunity to contribute to numerous development programs in our area for youth, families and business. I have seen our standards of living improve and our artistic endeavours encourage innovative development of ideas during this rapid, advanced technological age. I secured a $20,000 funding commitment under a re-elected McGowan Labor government to deliver accessible play equipment at Carine Primary School. The funding will provide an accessible swing and accompanying infrastructure such as ramps and rubber matting to enable students with disability to play alongside their classmates. Modern, high-quality play equipment at our schools is important for keeping our kids healthy and interested at school. This commitment will ensure that students with disability can play alongside their classmates on accessible equipment. Social values are a set of moral principles defined by society dynamics, institutions, traditions and cultural beliefs. These values are implicit guidelines that provide orientation to individuals and corporations to conduct themselves properly within a social system. I have observed our to social values challenged during recent times of crisis in Western Australia, but the Australian spirit of helping others in times of need demonstrated, reinforced and ultimately celebrated and enhanced our society. On Anzac Day this year, for example, thousands of Western Australians stood solemnly at the end of their driveway to commemorate Anzac Day. People stood and held in their thoughts the men and women who have served our nation. This year, the people of this state could not come together to pay our respects like we wanted, but we still paid our respects. Quality education and quality resourcing by the Mark McGowan Labor government since 2017 has rapidly improved the educational experience of students in schools in Western Australia and the breadth and depth of employment for our teacher graduates into the future. The WA Labor state government infrastructure projects in our Carine region has had a positive multiplier effect of financial strength and emotional well-being within families and their networks. Acting Deputy Speaker, the excellent management in areas such as Treasury and health will continue to deliver for the citizens of this wonderful state. I wish to provide accessible and positive representation for the Carine electorate. I want to continue to support groups functioning for those in disadvantaged circumstances. Recently, I have been involved with numerous requests for assistance from my constituents. One such request came from a fly-in, fly-out worker who had a major accident at a work site. The man received huge injuries and has required over 40 operations so far. I have delivered many food parcel relief packages for this man and his family during the last 6 months and am actively engaged in directing him to services associated with his administrative recovery. I enjoy supporting my local schools, parents and citizens associations fundraising events through the provision of gift hampers and printing of advertising materials and the publishing of event schedules on social media services. I enjoy providing guidance to constituents with issues within my community, such as minor disputes with government officers. My office functions as a hub for information and advice for people through pamphlets from government agencies such as the Police Department and Fire and Emergency Services. Acting Deputy Speaker, Australian values based on freedom, respect, fairness and equality of opportunity are central to our community remaining a secure, prosperous and a peaceful place to live. The Carine district is an example of the embodiment of these ideals in an electorate. When I've hosted people at my electoral offices or at one of the local businesses in the area, my guests often comment on the peaceful and pleasant nature that the residents go about their business, with courtesies, patience and respect shown. Our values define and shape our country, and they are a reason why so many people want to become Australian citizens, and many actively choose to locate within the area I represent. The multitude of sporting organisations, clubs and social groups all enhance people's lives and increase the level of networking, capacity and resilience within the community. During my life, I have learnt that trust and friendship is worth much more than money. During my election campaign, it was through the assistance and actions of friends that assisted my successful election and the right to represent the citizens and interests of the Carine district. The election campaign for me was a pleasant experience because I forged friendships as time passed. People that had commented on my social media pages were contacted by me personally, and meetings scheduled at a local cafe. Those people that took time to speak with me decided to support my campaign as volunteers, ranging from organising barbecues at ballot locations to being personal assistants for me on election day. To those friends that I have made during that exciting time, I thank you for the hours of help you provided, and I look forward to an ongoing friendship into the future. Acting Deputy Speaker, when I visited constituents' homes during my door knocking, the residents explained that trust as a core value was central to many of their decisions regarding the election. Elderly residents at a forum that I attended commented that I had actively listened to them regarding their concerns regarding law and order in their area. They told me that they trusted me over the other candidates standing in the election. I pledged to honour this trust during my term in Parliament and to demonstrate through actions an improvement in the standard of living for my constituents. Thank you.
Well done, mate. Thank you so much.
Well done. Good.